Wagwan, my loves. It's Knowledge Butterfly. As always, to you guys out peace, blessings, love, and abundance. Um, so this video is about, does everybody have multiple personality disorder? Does everybody in the world really suffer from multiple personality disorder? And I feel that that's a yes. And the reason being is that a personality is actually the ego. So when you think about people and the fact that according to who you're dealing with, you are expressing yourself in a different way or expressing a different personality. So with your parents, you're one way. With the person you date, you're another way. With if you have children, you're another way with your children. Your work people you work with, your coworkers, you're another way. When you go to church, if you go to church, or if you went to church, you were a certain way. Uh, and the list goes on and on and on, right? Your girlfriends, you're a certain way. When you hanging with guys, if you're a female, you're a certain way. It's just literally different personalities, different expressions of the ego, and so to me, that's multiple personality disorder, and the personalities actually come from the energy of the zodiacs, that wheel, like in your natal chart, you have that wheel and you have the different houses, the 12 houses that represent the 12 zodiac signs, right? And the zodiac signs, I recently found out, shout out Brother Panic again, that the zodiac signs are what you call archons. And I'm going to read the definition of what an archon is for those who are not familiar with archons. Archons, actually, the whole idea that is ancient. It came from the times of the ancient Egyptians when they were called Gnostics, all right? The Gnostics and the Cathars, because the Cathars were also a group of Gnostics who were ancient Egyptian people, right? Our ancestors. So they believed that the archons is what you were really fighting against, which means the zodiac signs, which means those multiple personalities, which means your ego, all right? So I'm going to read what archon is. Archon in Gnosticism, any of a number of world governing powers that were created with the material world by a subordinate deity called the demiurge or the creator god. So when you think about creation, it's everything that we see here in this physical realm. So they call that demiurge energy, right? So although Gnosticism did not constitute a single movement, most Gnostics were religious dualists who held that matter is inferior and the spirit is good, all right? And that salvation is attained by esoteric knowledge or gnosis, right? Because the Gnostics of the 2nd and 3rd centuries regarded the material world as outright evil or as the product of error, archons were viewed as maleficent forces. They numbered 7 or 12 and were identified with the 7 planets of antiquity, all right, the 7 ancient planets, or with the signs of the zodiac, which are those 12 signs, all right, the number 12. Some Gnostic thinkers, such as Valentinus, developed mythologies inspired by the Christian idea of salvation through the incarnation of Christ. In these narratives, the demiurge and the archons were identified with the god. So people who are in Christianity, who are in Islam, Judaism, who are any form of religion who believe in the one God, the creator God, then you're worshiping the demiurge energy, all right? You're feeding that energy because you're feeding something outside of yourself, all right? The angels and the law of the Old Testament. So the Old Testament of the Bible, because, you know, that's a jealous God. And think about jealousy. Why would you worship anything that is jealous of you and jealous of you expressing yourself and however you feel you want to express yourself, all right? And worshiping other gods because it only wants you to worship it and not even worship your own self. And the word worship means to respect. So when anybody says that they worship the black woman or they worship themselves, you're actually giving reverence, respect, and honor to your own self and not putting it, you know what I'm saying, or giving reverence or respect to someone else. So when we're younger, we actually worship our mother. That's really like your first God. You need her to eat. You need her to change you. You need her to love you, right? So that's literally our first gods when we incarnate into this being. Where did I stop? And the law of the Old Testament, and hence received Hebrew names. The recurring image of archons is that of jailers imprisoning the divine spark in human souls, held captive in material creation. So the archons are the jailers. The zodiac signs are the jailers, and they are holding our divine spark, our soul, in jail, in prison, in a human form. Okay? According to some mythologies, the purpose of the gnosis sent from the realms of divine light beyond the universe through the divine emanation, Christ, was to enable Gnostic initiates to pass through the spheres of the archons into the realms of light. So if you've done any studying about the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, you'll know that what the emanations are, and that those emanations are representative of planets, and they're also representative of zodiacs. And it is up to you to start to walk that middle path in order to free yourself from the law of 12, from the law of 7, from the zodiacs, all right, from the visible spectrum of color, which is the chakras, from freeing yourself from being governed by these energies, and you governing yourself, you becoming the number 13, you becoming the Ophiuchus sign, you becoming the like the number 13, you become the one. So you have to become the one in yourself in order for you to be free from this prison and to not incarnate into this bitch no more. Because really, and honestly and truly, I see myself as a Gnostic initiate. I initiated myself into gnosis when I came into consciousness, and I started wanting to, having that hunger and desire to learn more about who I truly am, and to learn about where the fuck I am. Because we can say all day, you're on earth, you're here, you're there, but you only know that because, or believe that because that's what you've been told. You are really supposed to question everything. Like, what really is everything? You're supposed to be like a child. How when me babysitting my niece, I see her at that age where she's exploring everything. She's wanting to touch everything, put things in her mouth. Like, she's utilizing those 5 physical senses so she can get an understanding of where she is, okay, and how things operate. That's literally what we're supposed to be doing, but you're doing the search inward, and there are some times when you will utilize your outside environment to get an understanding of how your inside environment works, all right? But that's all I really want to share with you guys. The multiple personality disorder is that of the ego. It's all these different personalities that we created. It's even the personalities you created of saying you depressed. That's an energy that you created that is like a vampire that's sucking off of you, right? You create an energy of low self-esteem, because I did these things, so I'm telling you from experience. Then you create a deity that, or a vampire that's eating off that energy, that starts to become a thought form in your auric field, and that's eating off of that energy. And so whenever you feel that emotion rising and coming up in you, that's why you have to start with your affirmations and really speaking life into yourself, because you are now creating a deity that is confident. You're creating a deity that is love. You're creating a deity that is peace and harmony and all prosperity and all the things that you want. Because we got to realize that all of those low vibrational thoughts that we had and negative thoughts that we had of ourselves, those are thoughts that was coming from the ego. The ego had fed our subconscious mind that you ain't shit, you can't do this, you can't do that. So you now have to start feeding it the exact opposite in order to manifest what you really want. So multiple personality disorder, yes, everybody is suffering from it, but the first step is admitting, all right? I'm going to end the video on that note. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a great day. Peace.